Thank you. And now I'd like to recognize the representative from Tennessee, Mr. Van Epps.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for sharing with us today. You've already emphasized how chemicals and the development processes behind them are embedded in every sector that matters to U.S. competitiveness, from energy to transportation and from defense to consumer goods. The United States owes these successes to an entire ecosystem of development, private firms willing to invest at scale, research universities generating fundamental discoveries and talent, in a public sector that is situated to keep the consumer and the creator secure. We must protect this ecosystem while still enabling discovery, commercialization, and domestic manufacturing. I know that failing to do so will not simply slow the industry, but rather force it to move elsewhere, which is unacceptable. The Trump administration has been leading on streamlining our approval processes and shortening timelines across the board to drive competitiveness and fuel innovation, but there are still gaps to close. This first question is for everyone. My district in Tennessee is fortunate to host exemplary research institutions and universities. How are you working with higher education and other institutions to ensure the sector has the future workforce it needs, and how could those efforts be expanded, and what support would you need? Ms. Bertrand, would you like to start?
Sure. ACC and its members make heavy investments into research and development. ACC has a long-range research program that invests into research that can support it brings in researchers from other areas to help. And also, the companies themselves have invested over $14.8 billion into research and development.
Thank you.
As I mentioned before, science and technology have been at the core of Lubrizol since its very beginning, so we are very supportive of STEM activities, having interns, and doing as much as we can to try to generate that next generation of innovators to help us go through the process. But I think, as we're talking about here today, the efforts to reduce the backlog are great, but the statistics about new submittals for new chemistries dropping by 67% is an indication that innovation is not happening at the rate we would like it to happen.
This is a very important question, and Boeing, we partner actively with universities, with the national labs and other institutions like that. Some of the FAA technical excellence centers that are in the universities, obviously we're very active in those. From a personal example, I personally sit on multiple PhD committees for Boeing-sponsored research. So it is part of our culture is to be involved at those levels, to look at the pipeline of talent and education that will come up into the aerospace industry. And that comes from a large variety of different degrees and backgrounds, of which chemistry is critical. So anything that we can do to strengthen those ties is going to be very important to us.
Thank you. Mr. Corkwell, this question's for you. You mentioned the EPA's approach could be improved by including existing regulations from other agencies to reduce duplication. How can federal agencies better coordinate with one another to reduce duplication while maintaining safety standards? Would you mind expanding on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that applies to everything we do, right? Communications and interactions are incredibly important when it comes to innovation. And in this particular case, one thing that I would encourage is the coordination between OSHA and the EPA. So much of what we talk about when we talk about risk is based on exposure, and that is an area where OSHA has tremendous abilities and then a lot of data there that helps understand what is the use and how do we protect people who might use these chemistries, many of which are used in production. They're not the final material. There's something that is used in a process to make a material.
Thank you. And quickly, Dr. Gross, for you, chemistry innovation is imperative for national security and military applications. Would you like to just build off of that from a national security perspective?
It's a very critical question, and unfortunately, as a chemist, it's not an area of which I have any expertise to comment, but I can say that Boeing is very committed to safety and to the American agenda, and so as such, we will meet our customer demands as we can.
Great, thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.